What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about ZBCN today, Zebec. It is the 28th day of October, and here we are at about 9 hours and 45 minutes left in the day, sitting at $0.00375 right now. Dealing with the aftermath of yesterday's drop, 7.4% down from open to close. It's not too bad. Here we are still at that same level. We've gone a little bit lower today, but I think we're leveling out. We're probably going to return to higher prices. After all, what we've done as far as the drop goes is we've gone right to these areas that we've continued to find support and resistance and support at really throughout ZBCN's life since June here. So let's look at the short-term stuff. We'll zoom back out. We'll see what we're dealing with. All right, looking at the 1 hour time frame here, the 1 hour RSI, we do have some bullish divergence, don't we? Right? You've got lower lows throughout this. You've got higher lows throughout this. Bullish divergence building. You've really seen this divergence already come out to play, right? This movement up is enough to consider that divergence fulfilled, but I think that we do build from here. I would think that we do go higher. The stochastics, in my opinion, are suggesting that we do go higher as well. They look like we want to go into the overbought zone. That doesn't mean that we're breaking through the roof here, but that would promote the idea, I think, that we break out of this range here. We look at the MACD. You're starting to build bullish momentum. You even had some nice bullish divergence there on the 1 hour time frame. That's great. Looking like you do want to continue moving higher there. So all good things right there. Looking at this on a 1 hour perspective from the low on the 23rd to the high here a couple days later. We're right at the 0.5, which is an interesting choice as far as the stopping point goes because it leaves the door open. It really does leave the door open. Right? We could go lower down to 0.00357 or down to 0.0035 itself, something down here. We could go lower. Or perhaps this is the low, we find support, and we're ready to move higher. Interesting dynamic here. Let's give some if-then statements, okay? If you get a 4 hour time frame to close above 00392, again, I'll say that again, okay? If a 4 hour time frame closes, doesn't move above, doesn't wick above, but closes above 00392, then good, this is the low, we're moving higher. Good job. If we get a lower low at all, I mean, really, I would even say if we return to 00367 or lower, we likely do go down to 00357 to 0035 itself, something in this range here. That's probably where we would find support. Okay, down there, boom, and then we move up. But this is a fine area to find support. Just because this is the golden ratio doesn't mean it's a magnet, doesn't mean we have to go down there. That's actually the last candle we had on a 4 hour basis. This is a really nice bottoming candle if we were to find a low here. But time will tell. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, talking about nice bottoms. The RSI right here, guys, bouncing off the oversold zone like this. I mean, that's perfect. You've literally found support here countless times really throughout the month of October. I mean, you haven't really broken below this level since August, since September, the very end of August, very beginning of September. You are at a low point here for sure. All right. Looking at the stochastics, a little bit of bullish divergence there, just a little bit, but really you're shaping up, looking like you want to come out of the oversold zone. That's a nice look as well. 1 hour, 42 minutes left in this 4 hour candle. If you can close here or move higher in the next hour and 42 minutes, that would be spectacular. I think that'd be great because you really are starting to shape up and look like you're validating this as a low. MACD is right at an area you'd expect to bounce to, so just do it. Just bounce here. Again, if you don't bounce here, you're not in trouble. It's not detrimental. You're not breaking structure, but you will go down a little bit lower, something down in this area, and then find support. So soon enough, we should be moving up higher. Looking at the daily time frame now, zooming out a little bit more. Daily RSI rejected the 50, and that's never fun. But when you reject the 50 and you find support at the 40, you typically get good results, right? Here, you rejected the 50, you found support at the 40, you got good results. Here, you rejected the 50, you found support at the 40, but then you rejected the 50 again. I say typically is the right word. Typically, you do get good results in these kind of situations. But if not, sometimes you go lower. You'd expect another rejection at the 50 here. But we're not even at the 40 for support, which I think is actually more bullish than it is bearish if we can turn the boat around here. But again, allowing for prices to go lower. If we do go lower, it's not detrimental to the cause. The stochastics, if we're being fair, are rather suggestive that we do go lower. The idea that we bounced here at this area is out the window now, right? We're not bouncing here anymore, clearly going lower. So if anything, the stochastics would actually agree with the idea that we do have lower prices to come. So maybe, or we're either that or we're finding support in a very odd area that we just don't find support at. Like I can't find, Like right here, but we still went lower. Right here, but we still went lower. Right here, but we were on the way up. Right now we're on the way down. I guess you have found support here before. Look at that. That's actually a lot of significance right there, but it still brought you lower. It's not that it can't happen. I mean, you could find support in an area you've never found support before. It's not that it can't happen. It's just odd. And typically with the stochastics, if you're not at an area where you typically do find support, you expect to go from overbought to oversold. So this definitely leaves the door open. Do be aware, this does leave the door open to go down to 0035, 00357. And if we go below those prices, it's still fine. Okay, it's still fine. I think ZBCN is getting set up for something fierce, and we can observe that more on the 3-day time frame, I think. I mean, it's very obvious here that there is some large accumulation going on here. The supply shock was intense, and we just ripped right through the roof. Now we are consolidating again. We've got a nice kind of range to accumulate in. I would assume that wherever the breakout takes us, it's going to be a very fierce move. I don't think it's going to be to the downside. I do theorize that this is just the beginning of more to come, and then we'll probably consolidate there, and we'll have more to come as well afterwards. This is one part in a 3-part series of moving higher, right? We're just on the intermission right now. I do think that we're getting set up to move higher at a fantastic pace. We look at the 3-day time frame. As far as the RSI is concerned, we're literally right at the areas to find support that we've been really our whole lives. So I do assume that we're going to continue to move up higher. Looking at this from a high to a low, high here to a low here, the expectation here would be that we do move up all the way, man, to 3 cents at a bare minimum, to 8 cents at a bare maximum, something around here, okay? We will find turbulence, we will find significance along the way. It's not just going to be a straight line up, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if either by the end of November or by the end of this year, we were somewhere up in this area. Perhaps end of November is more like 3 cents to 1.5 cents. End of December is more like 3 cents to 8 cents, somewhere in that range. But I do expect that we're going to move up at a very nice pace promptly here. We're going to move up, find resistance at various key levels, right? And find support at various key levels and continue moving higher. The way that I have it drawn here is actually that we'd be up here in January. Maybe we are. Maybe 7.9 cents to 4.5 cents. Maybe that is something that's reserved for January, and that's okay if it is. Okay, we can still consolidate and still have a nice rally going into April, May, and finishing off at dramatically, fantastically higher prices. But I really wouldn't be surprised at all from here at $0.037 right now if we were to see something as high as 44 cents or even beyond that. There's a lot of significance around that 40 to 50, 60 cent area there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did find prices as high as that by the end of the cycle. And for those of you who don't know, being at 0.037 right now, going up to 40 cents, that means that this is projected to do over a 100x. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if and when ZBCN does that. But I've got nothing else, guys. I'm just here. One thing I'll leave you with is the thought here that if you do want a 100x with ZBCN, and this is a bit of a joke, okay? If you want a 100x with ZBCN, it's as simple as buying here and holding until here. It's a bit of a lame joke, but it's a joke nonetheless, because it's not that simple, right? You think that buying here and selling here is so simple, right? Oh, that would have been just easy to hold through, but it wasn't, was it? There's actually a lot of people who got lost along the way. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And I'm saying this, there's a purpose behind this. Take the moral of the story away, okay? Focus on the moral, okay? Because this is important. You have a 100x opportunity, and you are the most probable problem in your existence. You are most likely the one to steer the ship the wrong direction. If you want a 100x, it's as simple as just buying here and holding. But again, that's a bit of a joke because it's not that simple. Okay? You have a lot of things you have to overcome. Here, from a low to a high, we did a 10x in 5 weeks. Simple, right? All you have to do is buy and hold for 10 weeks. Buy the low. It was a double bottom. Let's zoom out a little bit more. It was a double bottom. It was perfect. You couldn't have asked for a better example of a low. The reaction, you could have bought here, maybe not a 10x, but an 8x over the same amount of time. You could have had spectacular gains. All you had to do is buy and hold. But it's not that simple because you had to suffer a 25% drawback across 2 days. You had to suffer from a high here to a low, a 25% drawback across a few days there. And then again, from a high to a low, you had to suffer a 30% drawback. Quick little pivots, in a less than a day, you're dropping 20%. That was like 12 hours, a half day right there. You did it again, you dropped 30% in like a half day right there. Here, in a matter of 2 days, you dropped 28%. So just what I'm saying is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moments where you dropped 20% or more throughout this whole rally, right? It was just as easy as that, but 20% or more sends people from traditional markets in spirals, in downward spirals, right? That's intense. So it's imagine that was just a 10x. Imagine here to a 100x, there's going to be more than these pullbacks, and they're going to be larger too. Okay, you're going to have another moment where from a high to a low, you drop 60% or more, or 50% or more, right? You're going to have bigger pullbacks, and it's probably going to happen multiple times between here and there. If you want to snag a 100x, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but the best thing to do would be to just buy here and wait. Wait until the end of the year. Wait until next year, just to see where we are, right? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Do whatever you want, but I'm just saying I think that the people who are not going to participate, that's my daughter. If you're buying here, the people who are not going to get this 100x opportunity are the people who sell too early, right? To sell from here to there to get a 100x, you have to hold through a 10x, a 50x, a 99x to get there, right? Just some thought, just some food for thought. I got nothing else. I'll see you on the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care. Bye.